What's up, working people? It's Money Mark the Working Man, sharing my 2 cents. Hopefully, it makes sense. Today's video is going to be about the working man's path to financial freedom. Now, this is a really important subject, in my opinion, and this is what I want to form this whole community on. Working your full time job and creating financial freedom for yourself on the side. Now, the first thing I want to do is I just want to say I know the lighting in here sucks. I'm working on it. I'm figuring this out in real time. I'm a working guy. I'm not. I don't know anything about editing or anything else like that. But it will get better over time as we build the community. I promise. I will work on it, and also the consistency. Life throws you curveballs. I've had some family challenges lately, and you know, life goes on. But I made a commitment to this, and you guys are going to be part of the journey. And I fully intend to keep my promise. So, getting back to the subject, the working man's path to financial freedom. Now, I believe it could be a lot more than this, but there are five important pillars to this path, to setting up this path of financial freedom for yourself. Cash flowing real estate, gold and silver, dividend stocks, Bitcoin and Ethereum, and businesses. Now, I actually created a video probably a few months ago, just tiptoeing into this. I didn't get. I went a little bit into the 401ks. That's a separate thing. I can deep dive on that a little bit more as we grow this community. The involvement is really important. The more you guys stay engaged, it'll give me more ideas, more topics to talk about, and yeah, we'll just keep going. So, all right, the first thing, cash flowing real estate. Now, right now, where the real estate market is, I live in New York, and it's really hard to buy anything out here. If you're a working person, I can tell you in the area that I live in, a single family home is north of, within New York City, it's north of $800,000 approximately. If you go over the border in Nassau County, you'll probably get a house for $400,000 or $500,000, but the taxes are astronomical. I'm talking about $20,000 plus taxes a year. Now that's the greater New York City area. That's all the surrounding areas. So basically, you buy a house like that, it's not going to cash flow. Okay, so what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to start. If you don't live in a market where a property can cash flow, you're going to have to start looking at other markets where you can get a property to cash flow. Now, cash flow. Cash flow is the most important thing in your investing journey, in my opinion. I mean, that's my philosophy. My philosophy is built around cash flow, okay, creating other income streams for yourself. Now, there are a lot of people that have different ideas about this. I think that if you're buying a property just for the sake of appreciation, you're just speculating. That's like going to the casino and throwing some money down and hoping that you win. That is not a strategy. Okay, um, you can do that. I have gotten lucky, flipping some properties, and but it's luck. It's luck. You don't know what the market's going to do. It's very difficult to time the market, and that same thing applies for Bitcoin and stocks. Okay, you can do fundamental and technical analysis. You can read all the charts that you want, but I can tell you right now, I've seen since I started my working career, I've seen the dot-com bust. I've seen the Great Recession, Panic of '08, 2007, 2008, the COVID crisis, 2020, and and now I believe that we're headed towards another big dip. I mean, everything is overvalued. However, my philosophy is that you don't stop investing. Okay, where one door closes, another opens up. There's always an opportunity to invest in something, and I'm a firm believer in Time in the market beats timing the market. Let's take, for instance, 2007, 2008 market crash. At that time, the market started to turn around in March of '09. From that period all the way till, I believe, it was 2020, let's say March or 2020, before all those shutdowns and everything started, the market was on a bull run. We had some dips in between there, but for the most part, it was on a long bull run. Okay, and you couldn't foresee that back then. I can tell you that at that time everything was terrible. I mean, I was unemployed for, I mean, in the construction industry, it was terrible. I mean, I was probably out of work for 8 months or so, uh, around that time period. Not '07, '08, but probably '09. Um, I mean, that's just the way my industry is, and this is what set me on the path towards financial freedom. Is that I realized I can't rely on someone else for a check. I can't rely on someone else to take care of my family, right? I have to have some kind of other income coming in, and that's why I think this subject is so important. So, cash flowing real estate. If you live if you live in a cyclical market like like a New York, Miami, LA, a major MSA, it's going to be very difficult to find a cash flowing property there. Now, it can work. It can happen for you. I know guys that do Section 8 properties. They've had some success with it, but I can tell you, when you invest in a market like this, um, the laws do not favor the landlords. Okay, you get a problem tenant in your property, and it's going to be very, very difficult to get them out. Now, if you're willing to roll the dice with something like that, I mean, you could have somebody in your property 8 months to a year or beyond, not paying rent. If you're not an institutional investor, that's that's a tough that's a tough pill to swallow. So you don't want that. All right. Um, you have to do your research. You have to do your research on markets that will cash flow. Okay. There are plenty down south, southeast area, Midwest. I've invested in both areas, and I'm not going to tell you that long distance investing is easy. I'm not going to sell you a dream. It is not passive. When people say passive income, it's it's just ridiculous because you're dealing with property managers. Now you can self manage over a distance, and I've done that too, but there are challenges with that. For me, I prefer to use property managers, and I've had to fire several, and I'm about to fire another one soon, real soon, and because they're going to rip you off. They're going to rip you off. Now, there's ways that you can work out a hybrid approach with them where you do some of the maintenance on your own, and they do some of the maintenance, and things of that nature. But you're going to get a lot of pushback from them because that's their business model, right? Their business model is not only collecting that property management fee from yourself, but all the other fees that are connected to maintenance requests and things of that nature. So it's just part of the business. It is what it is. I still believe that real estate is the best way for the working person to build wealth today. I still fully believe that. And I'm going to say that, when I started on this journey, I thought to myself, you know, I needed um, I needed a lot of properties to get it done. All right, you don't need that many properties to create good cash flow for yourself. You don't, um, or to supplement your income rather. I would say that I know Michael Zuber from One Rental at a Time. Check his channel out. He's got good stuff. He talks about four properties. Okay, four properties is good, but you have to figure out what is your target, right? Because let's say, for instance, that you figure out what your financial freedom number is, and you say it's $5,000 a month, right? And so then you start doing the math and you say to yourself, okay, well, if I can get, uh, you know, I don't know, 10 properties that cash flow $500 a month, then I'm good, right? But it doesn't work out that way because you're going to have vacancies. You're going to have very costly repairs and things are going to come up. So it's never, and at the same time, out of all those properties, you're always going to have one or two that have a vacancy. There's been times that I've had vacancies with almost all my properties at the same time. So you have to have a reserve account, and you have to have a good reserve account, and you also have to realize that you know that cash flow is not going to be consistent. All right, so this is where you have to have other streams of income coming in. All right, so I'm not going to go too much into um, the choosing real estate markets, things of that nature, and what how I do it, and but I do want to let you know that that is, in my opinion, the most important thing: the cash flowing real estate. We could do that. We could deep dive into that in another video. So you let me know. All right. Um, Gold and silver. Now, gold and silver are not an investment in per se. Okay. In my opinion, gold and silver is kind of like a bank account. Gold and silver is a defensive play. Now, you can invest in, um, precious metals ETFs, things of that nature. You can invest in the miners. I've done that. I still have mining stocks, but that is they are very volatile, and I can tell you that timing that market is really, really tough. Okay. And anyone that does that will tell you that it is. Now, some of those miners pay really good dividends. A lot of them are foreign stocks. So there's, those foreign tax fees and things of that nature. So there's tax implications that you got to consider. But I am a believer in, holding some gold and silver for yourself. The the percentage of how much gold and silver you should have is really up to you. I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational, informational purposes only. I am not qualified to give you that advice. I can only tell you the things that work for me. I would say that you should have um, a decent portion of your portfolio in gold and silver. If you want to start with something measurable, I would say, I don't know, if you have some cash reserves, hopefully you should have 3 to 6 months of cash reserves. I don't know, maybe 3 months in gold and silver, right? Whatever that turns out to be. Yeah, but you have to figure that number out for yourself. But I think it's a very, very important position to have because things go up and down. And in the current, environment that we're in right now, you know, it's hard to tell which way this is going to go. Okay. Um, Dividend stocks. Now, this is something that I got into later. I used to invest in stocks like everybody else, right? You buy a stock, you hope it goes up, and you sell it later at a profit. Okay. I mean that again, that's you're just you're speculating, right? Um, I think a better play is dividend stocks. Now you can still have some stocks that you're looking to flip later on. I'm not saying don't do that, but for me, that's less than 5% of my portfolio. There's probably less than 5% of the stocks that I have right now that I'm looking to sell later on at a profit. And same thing with the altcoins where it concerns crypto. But we'll get into that in a minute. So as far as dividend stocks, again, if you want to deep dive into that, we can do that later. Now, dividend stocks aren't going to pay you a ton of money, right? I mean, if you there are there are ETFs like REITs that'll pay you upwards of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%. Um, you know, Usually when a company is paying a dividend at that level, you wonder how long that's sustainable, right? Um, I personally prefer dividend kings and aristocrats. I have a very different philosophy on stocks as most people. I know people really get into it in terms of technical and fundamental analysis. I think you should do some analysis. You should know key metrics are really important. Um, but my philosophy is buy and hold. So you I would say have at least a basket of dividend paying stocks that you plan to hold for a long term, and then reinvest those dividends over time and have a cutoff date, right? If you're looking to retire at, I don't know, 58, 60, 65, whatever that is, make that your cutoff date. And then from that point on, you don't reinvest any of the dividends and you're just taking cash flow at that point. Um, Try to have a long-term horizon on this. Okay. Most investors are like, they just think, short term. You know, most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and they underestimate what they can do in 10 years. If you're late to the game, if you have 10 years in the game, listen, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's timing, right? If you're buying in right now, this market is ridiculously overvalued, right? So the bottom, in my opinion, the bottom may fall out any day now, right? But I don't know. I mean, um, it could go on for another 5, 10 years. Who knows? I mean, no one has a crystal ball, right? Um, but you have to have a long term perspective because it takes time to build wealth. Everybody's just trying to get rich out here. It takes time to build wealth. Okay. So keep that in mind when you invest. Everything is long term. Look at a company's history, their dividend history, how long have they been paying out, and make your choices accordingly. Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, we're in like Wild West territory here with Bitcoin, right? Uh, Bitcoin just hit Bitcoin just hit an all-time high, 100K. There's some people now. I know last year there were a lot of crypto guys that were saying that it was going to hit 100K, didn't do it. This time they're saying this bull run, Bitcoin could go up to 150, 200K. I mean, who knows? Who knows where this is going, right? I mean, no. Again, no one has a crystal ball. So you're listening to people that have, you know, that are imperfect, right? They don't have all the answers. There's so many things at play here. We don't know where it's going to go. It took me a long time to get into cryptocurrencies. I didn't start investing into crypto until um, 2020. And I started researching crypto around 2019. And I had a lot of friends that had Bitcoin back in 2016, 2017, 2018. I didn't know enough about it. I'm the type of person that, I don't really give a shit what the market is doing. If I don't know something, I'm just not going to invest in it. I got to know the rules of the game before I play. And I'm not saying that you have to know every single nuance about that thing, but you should know, you should be armed with as much information as possible before you make that decision. I even invested in a course just to understand the blockchain and how it works. Most people aren't doing that, right? Most people are just like, Bitcoin is on a bull run. I'm just going to throw some money at it, and hopefully I could cash out later. Hope is not a strategy. Hope is not a strategy. That is just foolishness, man. Like, don't, man. It's I get passionate about this, man, because I hear people talk, especially on the job, and they just there's like no rhyme or reason to the way they do things. They're just buying all these altcoins, and they don't know what they do. They don't know what if they have any use value. Don't be that person, right? Do some analysis. Um, you know, take time. Take time, understand what you're doing first, and then make an educated decision. Okay? Don't be reckless. So, having said that, um, I had a couple of alts. I've never had more than 4 cryptocurrencies at any point. After all the research that I've done and being in the market, I would say that Bitcoin and Ethereum are the best bet. Uh, more on Bitcoin than Ethereum. All right. My philosophy is 60% Bitcoin, maybe 55% and the rest Ethereum. Because Ethereum has a lot of use value. There are a lot of platforms that use there are a lot of altcoins that use the Ethereum platform. Again, you have to do your research. And Bitcoin for a lot of other things that I cannot get into in this video. But I see a lot of potential in it. Now, here's the one caveat. Bitcoin could go to absolute zero. Listen, I read the conspiracy theory stuff. I have my own opinions about it. The Federal Reserve has a lot of power. Has been around for over 100 years, and one thing that I know about business and industry is um, they don't like competition. Now, how has Bitcoin been able to um, have the staying power that it does, considering that? I don't know. There's a white paper out there. I have not read it, but um, there are some interesting things about Bitcoin's history, and I would keep that in the back of your mind when you make this investment. I always say that any investment that you make, you got to be prepared for that investment to go to zero. Okay, you got to be willing to lose that money. So when you're investing, don't throw your life savings into it and trying to hit a home run. Stop trying to hit home runs. The game is won by singles and doubles, and walks, working the bases. All right, that's how you win the game. Yeah, you're gonna get a home run every now and then, but that should not be your strategy. So just consider that when you invest. Now, as far as Bitcoin, Ethereum, dividend stocks, the beautiful thing about this about today is that you can buy fractional shares, right? That's something that years ago I don't think you could do. Um, I have someone in my family that my was a close friend of my grandmother. She's still alive, and she had some stocks, and she used to get stock certificates. Right, a lot of people don't know that. Listen, if you don't have the stock certificates, those stocks aren't yours. Those stocks are not yours. All right, it's the same thing as having a deed to a property. Right now, most people don't do that and call up and get the stock certificates for certain things. I mean, I don't know. I know that it's a hassle for people that have tried it, calling up the brokerages and trying to get that stuff. You can get that, but you're going to get a lot of pushback. All right. So keep that in mind. But you can buy fractional shares, right? So listen, an easy play, no matter what stage of the game that you're at, is just take some coffee money every week, beer money, lottery ticket money, and throw it in there. Throw it in there. At the very least, with stocks, you should have an S&P 500 ETF. All right. Now, you don't need a lot of money to do that, man. You could throw in 10, $20 a week. But the way you win the game is discipline and consistency. Most people aren't consistent. So if you invest 1 week and then you skip a couple weeks and then you're like, oh shit, I forgot, and then you go back to it, like, how are you gonna win like that, man? You know, dollar cost averaging. If you have no idea what you're doing, I think dollar cost averaging is the best strategy that you can do for yourself. 100%. Because over time, you know, it's likely that the market's going to go up. And then you don't have to worry so much about the volatility. Put it on automatic and, determine what you're going to invest and just let it ride, man. And the same thing is applies to all your stocks. Okay. Dollar cost average. And when the dips happen, if you're still bullish on a certain stock in your portfolio, a certain cryptocurrency, double down, get more, and just keep going. Just keep going. It's that simple. All right. And last but not least, businesses. Now, um, businesses can take on a lot of different forms, right? As a working person, there's a lot of different things you can do. Um, I work in the electrical construction industry. I know a lot of guys that have gone out on their own, and God bless them. They're doing really, really well. And however, that's not for everyone. That's not for everyone. Starting a business from scratch is not an easy thing to do. A lot of people don't have the stomach for it. A lot of people don't have the capital and circumstances to do that type of thing. I mean, if you have a family, you have child support, um, you have people depending on you, it's going to be very, very difficult to do that. If you don't have another income source, it's going to be very, very difficult to do that. So I say, um, start with you know a basic business that you can do on the side. I mean, even if listen, even Uber Eats, DoorDash, any of these things can be considered a business. You can start an LLC, all right, and you can deduct a lot of those expenses um, through that LLC that you use for any number of these things. There's a lot of logistics apps that you can do where you do deliveries. That's pretty basic, right? There's e-commerce. You can do that on the side. I used to work with an apprentice that he used to flip all kinds of things, sneakers. I re- I remember one time during COVID, um, we were working together, right? And he was, I tell you, this kid was savvy, man. He was young. He was probably 23 ish or whatever at the time, but he was a savvy dude. And I remember during that time, everything was shut down. He um he told me, he goes, yeah, I'm gonna buy a pool. I said, a pool? He goes, yeah, I'm gonna flip it. And I was like, man, get out of here. He goes, no, think about it. He goes, people are gonna be home and they're not gonna have anything to do. He goes, I'm telling you, this is a good buy. Summer's coming around. So I was like, yeah, all right, whatever, man. Knock yourself out, right? This dude bought a pool for like 2,500 dollars or something, man. It was like under 3 grand, and he flipped it for like 5, 6 grand. I was like, man, I was like, damn, and so the point is that you could make quick cash doing just about anything, man. But make it legitimate. Make it legitimate. Start an LLC. It's not that hard to do. It's gonna cost you some money. All right. Here in New York, it's pricey, pricier than other markets. But do that for yourself, right? And if you could make an extra $500 a month, hey man, listen, $500 a month, that's another bill, right? That's a car payment, right? $500 a month, and you can deduct all of your expenses. I mean, that's that's where it's at, right? It's not much. It's not how much money you earn. It's how much money you keep. All right. I'm going to say that again. It's not how much money you make. It's how much money you keep. As a working person, that should be your philosophy. So, if you guys find this valuable, um, I would love to build a community here of working people. I love to do this. I don't obviously I'm not getting paid to do this or anything else like that. I've coached and mentored um, several people over the years, and it's just something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy providing value. So if you did enjoy this, I would appreciate like and subscribe, and let's get after it, man. Let's build a community, and um, let's help each other become the best versions of ourselves that we can possibly be. Be well.